It's Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. It's inside the beautiful state capitol in Lansing, Michigan, and we are joined by Ken Horn. He is a member of the Michigan State Senate, Chair of Economic Development and International Investment. I got that right, I think. I want to speak with you about the economy first. So nationwide, the economy's on the mend, but if you go to cities and towns within Michigan, it may not feel that way. We've seen tremendous manufacturing job loss. We've seen local budgets of local governments hurt as a result. I want to get a sense from you, how are your constituents doing in the wake of this recovery?
Yeah, my constituents are still, for the most part, living paycheck to paycheck. It's something that we're working on very diligently. We recognize that in the last census, we lost 500,000 people from the state of Michigan, 350,000 manufacturing jobs. With every one of those manufacturing jobs, we lose a Blue Cross card, and we replace it with a Medicaid card. And so even in a thriving medical community such as Saginaw, where I live, reimbursements to hospitals and doctors are limited. So, margins get really small. Budgets for cities and townships, as you mentioned, are hurt because sales tax revenue, income tax revenue, property tax revenues are all diminished. And we found out very quickly that that state budgets and school budgets are functions of the economy, not of the legislature.
Well, look at DPS.
Oh, I know.
I know you don't represent Detroit, but still, DPS has seen their population literally cut in half. The city of Detroit has seen its population cut in half.
Cut in a third,
Right.
and what's left behind is that full infrastructure. For the city, they've still got curbs and gutters and sidewalks and in fire departments and in municipal buildings, and all of this stuff has to be managed at some point with a third of the revenue coming in. And so we look at the city of Detroit, and I'm very encouraged by the growth that I see in downtown and midtown. We're seeing waiting lists for lofts and apartments.
Okay.
Young couples, married with no kids, just moving in. Restaurants and bars growing. We're seeing the same thing on a much smaller scale in the city of Saginaw and in Flint. I cover part of Genesee County.
Sure.
And so we're starting to see a lot of this stuff. But you can lose it very fast. It's hard to get it back, and so that's what we're working on.
Right, and Flint also, aside from the water crisis, it has seen its population drop. It has seen its job base drop. So I know you are working mightily, sir, as the chair of economic development to try to spur the economy. And one area that seems like a natural, cars, automotive. And we hear a lot about those autonomous vehicles, let it be. Wouldn't that be great? I hope it's during our lifetime. There's focus on Detroit, there's focus on Silicon Valley. Where is Michigan in the mix of the autonomous vehicle excitement?
Well, we are in the very middle of it. You would think that Silicon Valley would be,
they're trying.
The lifeblood of this automotive technology, but actually Michigan is on the forefront of it. What we want to do is remain there. And what we're looking at is I had my committee do a full hearing at the University of Michigan at what they refer to as M-City, where they test autonomous vehicles. You could take your hands off the steering wheel and drive through their little.
Can we take a nap? That's what I want to know. Can I take a nap as my car's taking me to work?
You can take a nap in this setting. Right now, we don't have the legislation that allows it on our open roads, but Senator Kowal and I are working on that part of it.
But can we digress for a second?
Yes.
When is this in our lifetimes?
It is, and I don't know if it's in our lifetimes where you and I will just be able to take be able to take a nap.
Right.
But the technologies that are within it, when you're driving on the Autobahn in Germany, which I had a chance to do.
Oh, did you?
At 250 kilometers an hour.
Which is
160 miles an hour. And your sensor tells you when a car is pulling in front of you some miles, a quarter mile or so up.
Right.
Or if you're changing lanes without turning on your turn signal, you feel like you're on a rumble strip. Some of these technologies are built into the car.
Life-saving.
Yes, and so you know who's on what side of you, and you know if a deer is running out in front of you in the middle of the night. So these are all great safety features that are part of the technology as we grow into this. Now, what we're looking at is we've got this beautiful facility in Willow Run. No other place in the country has this, including California, Texas, some of our other competing states. And we can take this M-City and grow it 10 times to a 300-acre facility and have all of the roads and bridges and viaducts and all the testing that can go on. And and also if we can coax the federal government to put its national transportation safety standard testing site here, anybody that sells a car in in the United States has to come to Michigan to test it, and that's what we're fighting for right now.
So who do we talk to? Senator Stabenow, Senator Peters?
We need to talk to our
President Obama. Who do we talk to?
Well, our entire congressional delegation they're aware of
Dems,
this.
Reeps, we're all together on this,
and we're working on this bipartisan. It's all part of the automotive swirl, and I haven't given up on traditional manufacturing. I am, full-throated advocate of traditional auto manufacturing. We need to melt steel. We need to build things. You need to produce things. You can't just be a service economy. We found that out a decade ago.
At the same time, though, we know we need to focus on our roads and our bridges. Prop 1 failed, but there is funding coming down the pike as a result of the work you've done. But there's more than just roads and bridges. You've taught me there are lakes and streams, and explain what's happening on that front.
We have the Great Lakes, and we have the Sioux Locks, and 90+% of the iron ore and salt and wood products and agricultural products that come from the north come through the locks, and that iron ore comes through the locks, and it should those locks for whatever reason, go down for 9 months or more, Michigan would instantly hit a 22% unemployment rate, and they estimate some, as a result, direct and indirect jobs across the country, 70 million would layoffs, because we can't melt steel. U.S. Steel and AK Steel cannot make rolled steel for cars and washing machines and the other things that America builds. And so we really need to protect those locks. We need to build a redundant lock.
And whose job is that? Is that the state?
Army Corps of Engineers. And
that's
we need
the
to
feds.
We I think we've convinced them to do the very important study that leads to that. And there's a large transportation fund that money can be drawn from. It just has to make sense to the system, but it's still a case that we have to make through the study. But I've also visited some of our rail sites and the Lake State rails and our Eastern Huron and Eastern Rail, and these guys are moving agricultural products and salt and all kinds of lumber and products all over the state of Michigan and all over the nation. And so we need to look at rail and airports to move freight. We need to move a lot more by water, and we have that capacity. In Saginaw Bay, we're looking at a study to deepen the bay or the river, Saginaw River, 17.5 miles up the river towards Saginaw, because there are stone docks and agricultural silos and facilities that go underused because we have to light load these boats in because they have to draft so high. If we can deepen that, they load up and it's just good for the economy to be able to they build these freighters huge for a reason. And
would these improvements be public-private partnerships, private exclusively, public exclusively?
These would be definitely public-private. So you've got the dock owners that are willing to make these investments, and you've got, but the Army Corps is solely responsible for for any work that's done inside of that river, right? If anybody's going to pull dirt out of the bottom of the river, it's got to be them. And but we can build the economy along the banks and as the private sector. So it is a great partnership. The other thing that's very interesting to my committee is skilled trades, STEM, engineering. We don't have enough engineers. We don't have enough tool and die makers. We don't have enough welders, to regrow our economy properly. And so we're doing everything we can to get young people to know that there are these great careers waiting for them out there.
And well paid.
well paid.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, and I had kids that come to me and they say, "How are you going to make college affordable?" And I said, I'm not sure if that's the right question to ask. The question to ask is, does your college degree have value? You know, if you're going to spend $200,000 on a degree, is it paying off for you, or are you paying cash for a certificate for welding and making 80 grand a year?
His name is Ken Horn. He is a member of the Michigan State Senate. My name is Brad Pomerantz in Lansing, Charter Local Edition.